Morning, everyone. Jason Cannon at LFS. Thank you for registering and logging into our Guaranteed Universal Life and Whole Life 101 presentation. We have a few people still looking like they're logging in right now, so I'm just going to give them about another 30 seconds or so to make sure they're logged in and ready to go, and then we will kick the call off. Okay. Once again, thank you everyone for joining today. This is Jason Cannon at LFS. Today's 101 topic is going to be permanent coverage, specifically on Guaranteed Universal Life and Whole Life. We know your time is very valuable, so we are very appreciative of you taking time out of your schedule to log into the call here. As we get started, just a reminder, as always, these are 101 level calls, and so the material is going to stay on that level. You are able to type in questions, and I encourage as many questions as you have. Please, the more the better. Feel free to type them in, and I will do my best to answer every single question that comes through. However, with that being said, if the question is a little bit higher than the 101 level or is really random and kind of somewhere out of left field, I'll acknowledge that you asked the question, but then suggest you and I maybe talk later after the phone call wraps up, just so that we make sure that the information here stays right on task of where we want to be today. Also, one other housekeeping item, we do have a handout in the handout section there. It is a frequently asked questions type handout. It's basics of these products. If you are new to these, I would highly suggest downloading that, save a copy on your hard drive, or even print out a copy to keep with you if you want to do that. It'll answer a lot of those questions that maybe as somebody new to these products, new to this situation, you may not know them off the top of your head, and they're some of the more common questions that clients are going to ask you. So, okay, with that being said, what are GUL and whole life plans and when would you use them? First and foremost, let's take a minute here to talk about the word whole, or the words whole life. A lot of clients and even some agents here in the industry, they use whole life in a generic sense. So we want to make sure that you understand there is a difference between whole life and permanent plans, GUL, UL, IUL, that sort of thing. So many times people use the phrase whole life, and they're really referring to, I want a permanent plan. And that may be a client saying, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, I'm looking for something whole life. Or we here at the home office, when we receive quote requests, for instance, the agent will say, I'd like a whole life plan. Well, if we receive a quote request like that, there's a good chance we may reach back out to you just to make sure, do you really want a whole life plan? Or are you really more or less talking about a permanent plan? And you may not know the difference between those because, again, a lot of people use generically the phrase whole life. So in this video training, we're going to go through that and let you know the difference between them so that when your clients ask you these questions, you know what to ask back to them, or you know the information to tell back to them to differentiate between if they really want whole life or something else. And for those of you that may not know the difference off the top of your head right now, this will help you to understand it as well. So by definition, these plans are permanent plans designed to last an entire lifetime for a client. They have a guaranteed death benefit and a guaranteed level premium for the entire duration of life of the plan. Most of these plans are, at the very least, designed to last to age 100, and actually more and more of them are either designed to last to 110 or even age 120, meaning that if your client pays these guaranteed premiums, the premiums that are guaranteed to keep the plan in force, they are not going to be able to outlive this plan. They will be assured that there's going to be a death benefit left behind for their beneficiaries. So here's our graph to help you kind of understand where these plans that we're talking about fit into the life insurance industry mold. These are the most common life plans that we here at LFS offer and work with. And so this is to let you know where these two plans fit in. So you can see second from the top is GUL, Guaranteed Universal Life. On the left-hand side, there's the guaranteed death benefit that I was talking about. A GUL is not a cash value plan. We'll get into that here in a little more in detail here in a moment. And they do, like I say, on the right side, have a level premium. At the bottom of our graph is our whole life plan. On the left, you'll see also guaranteed death benefit for life. These do have cash value accumulation in almost all whole life plans. And they also have, like we talked about, a guaranteed level premium. So when thinking about who is going to be an ideal candidate, how do I differentiate a permanent candidate from maybe, say, a term client? So it's going to be someone, first and foremost, that not only do they know that they have a need for life insurance, but they want to lock in permanent coverage. They don't want to go through the term process where they take out a term plan today, and whether it's a 10 or a 20 or 30-year term, realize that, okay, once I get to the end of that plan, I'm going to have to do something. Either I'm going to have to reapply for coverage to get maybe another term plan, or I'm going to have to do what's called a term conversion. So somebody that has a permanent need, there's a big picture in their mind going on that maybe somebody from a term standpoint doesn't quite understand. So if you have somebody that takes out a term plan from you today, say you've got a 30-year-old, and they take out a 20-year term today, and let's say they're in good health, they're preferred non-tobacco. So they take out their 20-year term plan today. We fast forward 20 years down the road. Now they're 50, and now they have to decide, what am I going to do now? I might need to reapply to get another term plan, or I could do what's called a term conversion. For those of you that don't know what a term conversion is, what it means is your client, if it's a plan that offers convertibility through their term, the client can actually take that term plan and contractually convert it over to a permanent plan, a GUL, a UL, a whole life, who knows? It depends. The availability varies from carrier to carrier. The nice thing about a term conversion, not only is it contractual if they do it within the initial term period, that first 20 years in my example, but also the client gets to maintain their health class. So that 30-year-old preferred non-tobacco client, they may have had some changes to their health that knocks them down to, say, standard or a little bit of a table rating, or they may have had things happen that can actually make them completely uninsurable, a decline across the board no matter where they go. Well, the beauty of it is because they contractually get to convert that term plan, and they also get to keep their preferred non-tobacco underwriting in this case, that's a really nice thing for them. It's very valuable. However, they have to convert at whatever age they've attained. So they would have to convert as a 50-year-old. So although they are preferred non-tobacco, they have to pay premiums based off of a 50-year-old. Whereas if you have a client that's 30 and they see they have a need for coverage and they're interested in a permanent need, yes, the permanent plan premiums are going to be higher than the term plan premiums. But think of it this way. Those permanent plan premiums are going to be locked in for the rest of your client's life as a 30-year-old. They're never going to go up. Whereas the 20-year term client who saves some money for those 20 years on their premium for, based off of a 30-year-old, by the time they hit 50, even if they're still preferred non-tobacco, they're going to have quite an increase in premium. So I'm not trying to belabor that point, but that's what really needs to be kept in mind here is many clients obviously do have a budget, and we have to be respectful of that. And if term is what they can afford, even though they may want a permanent plan, we have to work within their term budget. There's nothing wrong with that. But if this is a client that you can talk to and help them to understand the value of locking in not only their insurability, but their youthful premium at age 30 in this case, that's going to get some attention with your clients out there. And again, they see the value of locking in that level premium. They see the level of a guaranteed death benefit, meaning that they'll have this literally for the rest of their life. They can't outlive it, and they don't have to reapply at any point in time to make sure they're still covered. And in some cases, they can also use these plans to grow some cash value for themselves. That's going to be on the whole life plans, and we'll jump into that here. So the similarities of GUL and whole life, again, these are lifelong coverage plans with guaranteed death benefits clients cannot outlive. They're stable and conservative. They're not a variable plan. Your client doesn't have to feel like they have to be a stockbroker and understand the market and things to have a plan like this. It's here's my premium, here's my death benefit, pretty straightforward from there. The premiums are level. They're not going to wake up one day and get a note in the mail from the carrier saying, hey, sorry, we bumped up your premiums. That won't happen with these. And most of these plans really do have a good variety of riders that could be added to them. So they can have more than just their base plan. There's, the rider availability is going to vary from carrier to carrier, but most of the common riders are going to be there. For instance, waiver premium, child rider, accidental death benefit. Many of these plans almost always come with those riders. If you or your client is interested in having a rider like that on one of these plans and you're not sure if it's included or if it's available, please reach out to us, give us a phone call or send us an email. We'll let you know if those riders are available and make sure the quotes that we send out or the products we suggest will meet your client's needs from every angle. So the differences. Really, the main differences between these two plans comes down to two things. It comes down to internal cost and their ability to grow cash value. GUL is going to have the lower cost. This is a lower cost item compared to a whole life plan. In fact, sometimes you may even hear slang for GUL is term to 100 or term for life. The reason that that phrase is used is because in a lot of ways, other than the permanent coverage, GUL really acts kind of like a term plan, meaning that there's no cash value, there's no change in premium, and there's no change in death benefit. It just is what it is. The only difference is instead of a 10, 20, or 30-year term, this is for the rest of the client's life. Whereas also, GUL has a lot more flexible premium options. It's not quite as rigid as the whole life is built. Whole life is a more costly product, but your client does get something for that extra money. And what that thing is the ability to grow cash value. They do oftentimes have more rigid premiums in whole life as well. There's not as many options for the client to mix and match and customize their premium schedule. So here's a quick graph to kind of just show you a basic overall look at the premium difference and what that premium difference does. So this slide refers to a 40-year-old male preferred non-tobacco, 45-year-old male. They're paying premiums until age 100, and this is a $250,000 death benefit. So in the middle column, you see their GUL. The monthly premium is going to be $186.63. At ages 65, 85, and 100, there is zero cash value in this plan. This is a guaranteed universal life, no cash value plan. By the time they turn age 100, this client would have paid $123,175 into their plan. Whereas on the right column, we've got whole life. So as you can see, the premium is higher, $375.86. But after 20 years, by age 65, the client has a little over $85,000 in cash value. At age 85, they've got almost $183,000 in cash value. And by age 100, they're just over $227,000 in cash value. And by age 100, they've also paid $248,068 into their plan. So they do pay more in premium, but they get a return on that in that they have their cash value that's growing that they can use, for bills, a rainy day fund, that sort of thing. So how does the client choose, or how do you decide how to choose what to suggest to your client? They both provide the same thing in that they have guaranteed death benefits and level premiums, but really what it comes down to is, are they interested in cash value, and what are their budgetary limits? If they're not interested in cash value, they strictly want this to be a life insurance plan that protects their beneficiaries, maybe protects their estate. A GUL is going to be the best option for them. If there's somebody that wants that permanent plan, but they like the idea of having some cash value they could potentially dip into should the need arise, then whole life between these two products is the one that you're going to want to talk to them about. As far as some of the common questions, does everybody have to pay to age 100 on these plans? Most of the time, the answer is no. Your client can set up what are called short pay options. And like we talked about a few minutes ago, GUL is usually going to offer more flexibility in short pay compared to a whole life plan. But for the most part, you can talk to your client and say, okay, here's the death benefit I know I need. But you know what? I only want to pay, maybe I am that 30-year-old and I want this plan for the rest of my life. I don't want to outlive it, but I plan on retiring at, say, 65. And once I hit my retirement years, I don't want to pay into my life insurance plan anymore. Can we do that? You bet we can. We can structure this plan so that they only pay premiums for 35 years. And obviously the system, when we solve for the premium, the software, it'll adjust the premium accordingly to make sure that, okay, by that 35th year, the client has paid in enough premium that they can that they can stop paying their premiums, and that policy will last for the rest of their life without them having to put any more money into it. It's very flexible on the GUL. But the whole life, within reason, we can usually make something like that work with their whole life plan as well, if they want to have a paid up policy by a certain age and also still have the ability to grow some cash value. So if your client is interested in those situations, by all means, let them know, yes, it's possible, and we'll be more than happy to work up some quotes for you to share with your client. If it has cash value in the plan, can the client use it? Of course, this is their money, they can use it. So really what happens with a cash value plan, and in this case, whole life, as that cash value grows, the death benefit also grows a little bit because those two things are tied together. And so if the client does decide, hey, I need to take some of that cash value out, it may alter the death benefit a little bit, but it's okay. It's their cash value. That's what they wanted, and they can use it. Our suggestion here, if you ever have clients that want to take money out of their policy, if they want to take cash value out, really ideally, have them give you a heads up. Have them give you a call and say, hey, here's what I'd like to do, because then the three of you, the client, and the carrier can all be on the phone together, talk to the carrier, tell them what your client wants to do, and then the carrier can run what's called an in-force illustration. And what they will do is they'll run an illustration that shows everything that's happened up to that point in time in the policy, so you have an up-to-date snapshot of what's going on. But then also they can put in that that cash value withdrawal and see how it's going to affect the policy. Basically, it's just to make sure that the client doesn't maybe take out too much premium and cause damage to their policy. Obviously, worst case scenario is they take out so much that they have to put in a bunch more premium to keep it alive, or it might lapse or something like that. They don't have to have you on the phone in those situations, but sometimes it's helpful because you, as the agent, you understand the terminology in our industry better than the average client is going to understand. And so if it's just the client talking to the carrier, you're really kind of hoping that the client gets on the phone with somebody there at the carrier who is an understanding person, is a patient person, and really is good at explaining what's going on to make sure the client really not only gets what they're hoping they get, but it doesn't do any damage to their policy. Some of the additional riders, like I talked about earlier, some of the more common at least are going to be child rider, waiver of premium, accidental death benefit. Those are very common riders that can be added to the majority of these policies. And like I say, if you or your client has an interest in putting those riders on these policies and you're not sure if they're available really through maybe this carrier or even in your state, because plan and rider availability can vary from state to state as well, please give us a call or send us an email. Tell us what you're looking for, and we'll do our best to make sure that we get you set up with everything that meets your client's needs as they've requested. So that's the end of our presentation there. I, again, just wanted to thank everybody for attending today's call. I know you're very busy. We appreciate you tuning into these. Everybody that's registered, even if they may not have been able to log into the phone call today, you will all receive a copy of this in the email later today where you can go back and re-listen to this. If you have follow-up questions, maybe you don't have any right now, but maybe as you're driving around from appointment to appointment today or whatever, something pops up, feel free. Please reach out to us. Give us a call or an email. Let us know what your question is. We'll be happy to answer anything you need, work up quotes, send you product info, really anything you need to make sure that your questions are answered and you feel comfortable going forward. For those of you that are new here to LFS, if you haven't had your one-on-one intro phone call, please reach out and let us know. We do a walkthrough with you. It's just one of us with one of you. Usually takes about maybe half hour, 45 minutes. We'll walk you through the website. We'll show you where to get applications. We'll talk to you about how to submit applications, answer any questions you need to make sure that you're really comfortable moving forward. You know how to work through the website. You know how to get things that you need, and you know what to talk to your clients about if you have questions about those things. If you've already had your intro phone call and maybe you've forgotten a little bit or you want a refresher, that's not a problem either. Again, just reach out to us. Let us know. We'll compare schedules and make sure we can get you on the calendar there in a time frame that works best for you, and just, again, get you taken care of to develop enough training there for you to make you feel comfortable out in the field. These trainings, they also, like I say, they'll walk you through how to submit your apps, where to find your apps, and we'll even talk to you about how to talk to your clients about life insurance in general, how to bring it up, and based off what your client says, maybe, how to make some basic suggestions of what plans to offer them. 2 weeks from today, we have another one-on-one training. It's back to IUL, Index Universal Life. That's my personal favorite subject, so I always look forward to that call. If you haven't registered for it yet, please do. We'd love to have you on the call. All of these registrations are also available on the website for LFS, so if you want to go in, look at the schedule of what we have planned for the future and sign up, please do so. Go in. You can sign up for as many as you want. There's no limit. You can take these over and over if you want. Lastly, as far as training goes, we will shortly have shortened versions of all three of these calls we've done so far in the one-on-one series. We've had a term call. We've had this GUL and whole life call. We also have the IUL call that I talked about. We'll have a shortened, about 5 or so minute version of these that you can brush up and listen in on if you have peers in the office that you think may find value in these. Direct them to the registrations for these calls, and also let them know that we'll have those training videos on the website soon. So with that being said, We haven't had any questions pop through. Remember, there's a handout there if you're new to this series and want to make sure that you can answer basic questions for your clients. Keep that downloaded and available at all times. And with that being said, thank you all so much for your time and have a wonderful day.